G'day there everyone, Daniel Anderson here. Now, I recently posted a video around the topic of creating a shared document library from OneDrive versus that of a Microsoft 365 group and what the difference is. Now, I've had a lot of feedback and a lot of questions about that particular video. I'll link to that and I'll put a link here inside this video so you can check that out as well. And one of the questions was, isn't this the same as creating a Microsoft team? Now, yes and no. So what we're going to take a look at here is we're just going to do a quick little recap of creating a shared library inside of OneDrive, but then take a look at what happens when we create a team and what the differences are around that, because there are some similarities there. So if we take a look and just take a little bit of a recap here. So we've got our OneDrive, we're in the browser, and on the left-hand side here, we've got this option to be able to create a shared library. Now, what we're seeing on the screen here is my file. So this is my OneDrive. It's personal to me unless I share something out of this OneDrive to somebody else or to multiple other people. But if we wanted to create a shared space, so a place where we can, as a group, go to and upload files and collaborate on files all together, rather than doing that out of our OneDrive, then what we could do is create a shared space or a shared library. So we can click on shared library and we can go through and create this library. So here, what we can do is give this shared library a name. So let's just call this NFT resources. And we can add members at this point in time as well. So if we want to invite other people to come to this shared space, we can do that right now. So let's go and invite, while we're here, Nesta and Adele. We've got some advanced settings. We can set this private or public and that type of thing. Let's just keep it as private. You'll also see here that we get a site, so a SharePoint site, and also an email address, but we'll come back to that in a minute. Then we can go and hit create. So what that's going to do is create a shared document library that is actually living inside of a SharePoint site. Okay, so you can see there, I'm in the shared library, I'm in the documents library of this shared space. So we can go to the site and you can see here that we've got a full-blown SharePoint site that has been created, even though we selected to create a shared library, because we need that library to be stored or housed somewhere. And that location is this SharePoint site. The members are actually part of this site now. So what we actually did was create a Microsoft 365 group that controls access to this site and in turn that shared library. Okay, now if we turn our attention now to a Microsoft team. So what happens when we create a Microsoft team? So if I jump into Microsoft Teams here, there's my listing of teams. You'll notice that in, for example, this Microsoft team here, I've got a number of different channels. So in these channels, each channel has its own files tab. So here I've got files, and you can see the files that are inside this files tab. All right. Now those files don't actually live in Teams. They actually live in SharePoint. So because there's a SharePoint site that's backing this team. All right. So let's go through that process. So we click on join or create a team, and we can create a team. Let's create one from scratch. We'll keep it private and we'll give this a team name of Web3 resources. So the other one was NFT resources. This one is Web3 resources. We click create. Okay, it's going to now create this team. And in turn, what happens behind the scenes here is that it's creating a SharePoint site. And additionally, that SharePoint site contains a document library. Okay, so a shared library, similar to what we just created, or basically the same as what we just created inside of OneDrive, except we're using the Teams interface here. You can see here that we've got the ability to add members to my team. So let's just do the same thing here. So we'll go Nesta, we'll go Adele, and we might just add in Alex at the same time here, and we'll add those. So they're now becoming a member of that team. All right. Now, backing this team again is a Microsoft 365 group, same as what we did with the shared document library. All right. So we created the document library. It created the site. We added the members. the members were added to that group. Same thing is happening here. You can see that these users here are now members. We can now close that. So you can see here, I'm now inside the Web3 Resources Microsoft team, and I've got a general channel by default. This general channel has a files tab. All right, and this is where we store all of our files for this channel inside of this team. You'll notice that the breadcrumbs here, though, we've got documents and then we've got general. So this documents link here relates to the document library in the top level document library. All right, because what we can do here also, I mentioned that it's created a SharePoint site in the back end for the storage of these files. So we click on open in SharePoint. All right, and you can see that I've got a temporary issue there. All right, so let's just come back to this. Let's just refresh this right now. We'll go open in SharePoint, and you can see now that we've got a SharePoint site. Exactly the same thing as when we went through OneDrive. We created a shared document library, but that document library was actually stored as part of that SharePoint site. Exactly the same thing happened there when we created a team. But now we've got a communications platform and all the benefits of a Microsoft team for our use as well. But in essence here, we've got a SharePoint site, we've got a document library, and inside this document library, we've actually got a folder that is called General. Okay, now that directly relates to the channel that we just had in the team. So if we jump back into Microsoft Teams, you can see I've got a general channel. Now, if I want to now create a new channel, so let's go add a channel, and we'll call this crypto. Okay, we'll add that as a channel. All right, now this channel also has a files tab. So you can see here, in addition to the general channel, the files tab, we've now got a crypto channel and a files tab. So how does that work in SharePoint? Because remembering, we've got SharePoint that's backing this Microsoft team and the files that are stored here. So if I jump back into the SharePoint environment here, what we will see is that we do now have another folder here called crypto. All right, so I can add and interact and add and access files from the SharePoint UI inside of this crypto folder. For example, here, I can click on new, I can go new Word document, create a new Word document from the SharePoint interface and the SharePoint UI here. Let's just add some text. All right, we'll then jump back into here. You'll see that we will have a document that has been created inside of this crypto folder. There it is there. When I jump back into Microsoft Teams, what we will see here inside of this crypto channel now is that exact same document. All right, so we're just accessing that folder that's living in the SharePoint site. We're surfacing that through this, this channel inside of Microsoft Teams. All right, so in actual fact, when we're creating a shared library from OneDrive, if we go back to OneDrive here, what we're actually doing is we're creating a document library that's inside a SharePoint site. That's and the access to that SharePoint site is being controlled by a Microsoft 365 group. Now, when we're creating a Microsoft team, that in turn is creating a Microsoft 365 group as well, and a SharePoint site, and a shared document library as well. All right, so there are a few little differences, but in essence, what they are doing is very, very similar. They're creating a SharePoint site, a shared document library, and the Microsoft 365 group is what is controlling the access to those locations. So I hope that brings you some value. I hope that makes clears things up a little bit for you as well. And again, hit me up if you've got any other questions or need any more clarity on that process or that situation, then please feel free to let me know. Thanks for watching. See you next time.